Alright, it's time for some more Tartarian translations. And I've got a book from the 1500s that I'm going to share today with some incredible art and some very interesting and telling translations and information on it. And again, it's tough to translate, and some of the translations are a little weird sounding, which leads towards the way I think their language was a lot different than ours and more encompassing and something we're not getting and not able to translate now. But first I want to share this picture, which is of a place that I went to yesterday to get a little inspiration, and it's called St. Anne's Church in Fall River, Massachusetts, and it's unbelievable. It supposedly was constructed in the 1890s like everything else, and but it seems like it's much older, and it's completely out of place where it is. Nothing looks like it in the area. There's a few other churches that are kind of similar in that town, but nothing is as grand as this, and it just feels great being near these buildings, stepping next to them and seeing them and observing them and how perfect and immaculate they still are. So I just wanted to include that. Probably do a little video on it later because it's actually under threat of being taken down. So this is the information on the book I'm going to show you. I think the artist is named Hieronymus Koch, which is kind of interesting. I was actually searching Bosch and came across this guy, but there's some different Roman emperor things and all different things, so I'm just going to translate now, starting with the the intro page right here, the title page, which says St. Charles V Imperial Opt Max Number of Outstanding Victory. Great Philip St. Charles break Spain, England, France. Be to the father of the fatherland, for our ruler too indulgences has, out of very many indeed, the chief ones, the images of his victories and his fathers, to the glory of the immortal, to the most holy of that mayest immortal sheets of paper had been made. Jerome Conscius, typograph, a painter in the reverence of humility, but it is also much can it be, that now in itself is and shall say. And then it says 1556, Prince in Antwerp as the new purse of the Maison of Hieronymus Koch, painter, with privilege of the king for 6 years. Now I'm going to get started with the translation, and now remember that some of this came up as everything from Latin and French to Corsican and Spanish were detected in Google Translate, so some of it's a little off, but it's interesting the way it translates. So here we go. 1. The Pope, Cockrock, Hessus, Clive, Sharp, Permit, and Eagle, Selim, gives back safety. So that's all the capital letters, and then I go from left to right at the bottom. So it says, the very triumphant and undefeated eagle of Charles V, Roman Emperor, shows us that these people were surrendered and how they bought their nails solamano. Again, the phrasing is nuts, and this is just how I translated it as best I could. Sai was the Pope, Offley the King of France, the Duke of Saxony maybe, and the Clevois Lafleur, that didn't translate, also of Heffen, vanquished by the power of the Halt Caesar, whose Turkish print the flea, or hers Turkish prince fleed. Alright, 1525. The walled area of the city, stationed at Tichinum, was taken to the walls of the king of Alu, for his cigarettes, induced by the distance to the shores of Libya. I don't know what that means. So maybe something different, cigarettes, I'm not sure. It is clearly shown here painted, as in Paua, imprisoned by Hazana Francisco, King of France. He was taken to deeper parts of Spain. Sai Claremont, you aperçois that of the powerful emperor in Champagne was conquered and took the King of France, who then afterwards no led in Spain. So again, these were tough to translate, and it's weird that there's 3 different languages sometimes per page. 1527, Borboni, killing a Roman soldier, Caesarius, ruined walls, and the unhappy sacked the city. Here was Bourbon dead and overthrown by the walls of Rome, but the soldiers entered with an informed spirit, and they plundered the entire city. Suddenly, after Bourbon had killed the trembling emperor, he set out to assail Rome, and to tremble with sense, fighting in a short time to catch him. And then notice the gun by his feet too, by his left foot. That's a very interesting rifle. You got the rifle and the battle axe and the crazy amounts of swords, places burning to the ground in the background, the viaduct, there's tunnels going underneath the giant building that seems like from one of the other artworks, the flags, the cities in the distance, the people just storming this tower, the giants getting tossed off. What an amazing artwork. 1527, captured the city of Adrian, surrounded by lofty bound in bulk lenient, much air finally redeemed. Rome taken as we said, Clement in this tower dreams closed, but later in without dreams, as we saw, with much silver and gold released. The princess city, Clement, Pape de Rome, in the castle of Adrian, new enclosure, who then, after giving money a large sum, was bound and put back in rest. Notice the top of that central building, too. It looks kind of like the White House. Imagine how many buildings like that, state houses or anything, go down below like this. Like, how much land have we been covered by over time, and how far down do these things go? And the giants. Notice the giants. There is definitely a distinction. Here we go, 1529. Pannonia, the Turk, Caesar, and consumeth their fury. This is cruel hard, landed at the siege of Vienna. Solimano came powerful, and Avia already put siege to Vienna, but he fled from here very fearful due to the virtue of Carlos, who reigns. They were Turks defeated, and the powerful Emperor Vienna's stunts, so boring, passes, were delivered and restored to honor. Notice the ridiculous amount of faces in their armor and horse coverings as well. Each one of these photos has it. Their faces are everywhere. Some angry, some intense. It just seems like from another dimension, these people. It's almost like they were seeing the beings from like the psychedelic realms, and they were in communication with them or talking with them or part of them. Everything's so elaborate. The armor, the coverings, it's just so nuts. Beautiful art. 1530. In the past, as though they are eating the flesh of the individual, it's I am having conquered the invincible, melt with the Caesar's armies. The Indians, who hitherto of human flesh suffer as fierce and untamed, with virtue and sovereign force, you see them by Caesar already domesticated. Very interesting. The Indians living in human flesh, in incomparable cruelty to say, are conquered by the Havana power of the hard-working fighters of the empire. So is that relation to Cuba and the Caribbean? Does this mean that we are all the natives? Are we all the Indians, the smaller humans, and the giants are there? Look at the mother milking in the background, the desecration of the human bodies. There's so much to see in that last one. I really think we might be the natives they talk about. Tunis, 1535. Tunis, Tunisia, Caesar, having triumphed over the power of the war, entered in the winter. It gives in a twinkling. He flees Africa. Here you see how that African fled. Quando Caesar, triumphant and powerful, lay gano to Tunes with his lucky hand, where he entered with a victorious name. The valiant Caesar, triumphant in Africa by the will of God, and the Tunisian friends took up by the bellicose practice, whose fleeing Turks were put. I'm not sure what that means, but this is a serious battle happening here. And it seems like the people in the foreground are very advanced, very serious. Like, their armor is so nuts. The horses, like, how do they even get those things on? Who makes those? All of this. There's a lot of art at this time. 1543. Boating, behold, he rolled himself to his feet as a suppliant of the emperor was defeated, unto whom even the Galrica broken the scepters of the host. From Cluse is the duke, who defeated Caesar in front of you, you see in kneeling. But after his power came, I released him, blurting his state. See how the Duke of Cluse, sigh, has the emperor at all come submissive to serve him. Similarly, also for the land of Gelderland in the hands of the meter. Like, what was the world like at this time? What was happening? Where were these people from? Were they from beyond the poles, or were they just on our little bit of land around here? I don't know. It seems like they're from somewhere else. 1546. Of the prince of the approach of the Burani, I got scared, Hessus, the whole cringing. Suddenly they turn in great Caesar's manipulations. They felt from the wings the sound that the eagle triumphant came making Landgrave. I'm not sure what that is. It happens a few times they say that. Landgrave. And that of Saxa. And at the noise, you see them both fleeing back. When the tale of Buren arrived in Caesar's camp valiantly, the then fugitive Duke of Saxony goes in the Landgrave also likewise. So notice in this one how it looks like giants in the army with lots of weapons and cannons are aimed at and ready to destroy the Star Fort, the village and the city. You can see the double-headed griffin flag on the front of the horse. Like, were they an invasive force from somewhere else and conquering these things that we've known, taking more land? Who knows? 1547. Betrays the leaders of Saxo under the Caesar, never subdued in war, with the loss of realm in arms and heroes. Changing one letter of X to C led to a different translation in that, where it says, the mouths of the leader of the war of Caesar under the Saxo comes to bound by the chain with the loss of realm in arms and heroes. So that just tells you that it shows you the change of one letter can change the translation in these. So it's not perfect, but bear with me. Try to decipher it. And then it goes on, defeated in the battle you see present the Duke of Saxony, and subjected, after seeing lost many people, their weapons and their strength in their state. The Duke of Saxony, being very desperate and conquered by the powerful emperor after having all his lost country, wanted to make him obedient. Very interesting here. Look at this guy. His chakras, all like with his suit. They all look like giants again. People very important, looking proud. The horses, they don't even seem like they're a different breed of horse or a different like thing altogether. I wouldn't even be surprised if they were conscious and very like intelligent. Who knows? 1547. Hesso bold already. Perhaps it is no Saxony. After the expulsion of, there are many of Caesar himself, without equal, they give under the yoke of the cities. Interesting. Landgrave, or Landgrave, already defeated the daring prisoner, the Duke of Saxony, and his company. They have offered their keys to Caesar, the cities of German name. When the Landgrave and Duke of Saxony knew by the emperor that they had been hunted down, many bays were then all out of one desire to give him back many cities and countries. I'm not sure, but look at it, giving him the keys, they're just surrendering to him, like, and they look like kind of human, he looks like a giant. It's amazing stuff. 1547. This presents itself as the majesty of Caesar, Hessus, before the unaccustomed, now soften or lamb. Here you see how this Victoria, with the flight of the eagle taken by Carlos, whose name to the world is glory, he is offered, who was fierce, very tamed. Like the Agnew, in all humility, the Landgrave surrendered here at mercy at the goodwill of the Grand Majesty, who also received him humanely. And notice the two smaller humans on either side of the emperor. That's very interesting because they seem like they're our size, showing that we have been domesticated and conquered by these people. We may be their slave pets or have been by this dominant race that exists somewhere beyond the poles, and they may have just got messengers here, keeping charge of us for us, being taught how to subjugate us, and they're doing a great job in 2020 at doing that. So this all started from searching Hieronymus Bosch and just wanting to get a glimpse further into the 1500s, which just seemed unbelievable. Like that art, just the fact that that book has several different languages all combined. In their language, like their words are very descriptive. It's almost like they're a totally different thing. Like they took on a completely different meaning when they were understood really. And my translation is almost like a two-dimensional version of a three-dimensional language, where you probably had to incorporate so much in order to really fully understand like the riddle and the connection and the meaning and the power of it. It's just, these people back in the day were so amazing. And I always will wonder what we were once like. It seemed impossible to fathom at first, but now as time goes on and more YouTube creators are coming out with great content on this topic, it's starting to unravel and the pieces are starting to fit together. And we need to demand that our history become restored in the future. And hopefully we can find out what it's all about, and we will discover and just continue to push forth and teach the future about the ways it really was in our beautiful past. And we will create a beautiful future as a result. Bless you all.